In Romans chapter 6, 1 through 11, we saw that we as born-again believers are positionally dead to sin and alive unto God. We're to reckon that to be so and live accordingly. Romans 6:12 through chapter 7, we saw that we still battle with sin because of our yet unredeemed flesh. Yet here in Romans 8, we see the game changer. We are not alone in our battle against sin. Look at verse 1. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus. Beautiful positional truth. Who are those people in Christ? Who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. Two things to say. First of all believers are seen through the filter of God's grace. Like Abraham in chapter 4, or all believers prior to Christ in the book of Hebrews chapter 11. But in a very real sense, in a very practical sense, the Spirit guides us to follow God. Ephesians chapter 2 verse 10 says, we are created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them. And it says we walk after the Spirit. Verse 2, for the law of the Spirit of life in Christ Jesus hath made me free from the law of sin and death. Positional truth from here through verse 4. For what the law could not do, and that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. Now we see the two evidences we're born again. One, we have a supernatural inward delight in the things of God. That's what Paul said back in verse 22 of chapter 7. I delight in the law of God after the inward man. But there's also an outward supernatural guidance toward the will of God. To be carnally minded is death, verse 6, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against God, for it is not subject to the law of God, neither indeed can it be. So then they that are in the flesh cannot please God. But ye are not in the flesh, speaking positionally, but in the Spirit, if so be that the Spirit of God dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Christ, he is not of his. And if Christ be in you, the body is dead because of sin, positionally. But the Spirit of life, the Spirit is life because of righteousness. But if the Spirit of him that raised up Jesus from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by the Spirit that dwelleth in you. Keep that in mind. Your inward man is quickened, but your outward man will be quickened at the second coming of Christ. Therefore, brethren, we are debtors not to the flesh to live after the flesh. We're bought with a price. We ought to glorify God with our bodies. For if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. For as many as are led by the Spirit of God, they're the sons of God.